Despairing silence. Silent the armadillos sit, staring at a seductive darkness. A stabbing sky shelters stars, which sharpen signs of sickness. Empty the armadillos hunt, an agile insect darts, but persistence cannot evade desperate, broken hearts. Tired the armadillos sleep, the beasts belittle and scoff at their inability to do what restless minds stave off. Still empty armadillos die, not from lacking substance, but from themselves and their despairing silence.
Hello, everybody. This is Kevin. Thank you so much for listening to my poem, Despairing Silence. This is one I already made a video about on a YouTube channel a long time ago. Originally, I didn't really change anything with it. I don't want to change anything with these because I feel like I want to look at them in their raw form and kind of like see, like, okay, well, what is right? What is wrong with this poem? What's it doing that's really impressive? What's it doing that could use some work. But I mean, I like this poem. It always had a special place in my heart. I made a YouTube video on this before, reading it. I'll post that in the description if you want to watch it. It's a pretty similar reading, I imagine. Maybe poor audio quality. My audio quality is still not great, but at least it's better, I guess. But regardless of that, yeah, no, this poem is really interesting. I really enjoyed reading it again and looking back at it. And always, again, it has a very special place in my heart. I guess some things of note. Obviously, there's a pretty basic rhyme scheme going on. Not the best, it's pretty elementary stuff. I'm sorry, darts and hearts, scoff and off, substance, silence. And I think that's all that's going on with that, and also the sort of the repetition of the anaphora of the armadillos, this image of um, armadillos that are like struggling to make it out, kind of just like that struggle for survival overall is kind of the main crux of the piece. And I think it does pretty well in terms of that, in terms of getting that across. I really did love this third stanza right here. I thought it was really powerful, really strong. The idea of like not of being restless, of restlessness, the idea of the survival and the issues that survival can do to you, kind of physically, the physical toll of it. Um, say you're working, 2 9 to 5s or whatever, to pay the bills. Obviously, you got 2 9 to 5s, but you got like 2 3 jobs. You got to work, and you're just not able to get any sleep. It's sort of that mindset where it's like you got to do what you got to do to make it through, and sometimes that requires the idea of restlessness, the idea of things that you've done as well. To a certain extent, but this is the second stanza where you're hunting, um, an insect. You're killing, a living being when you yourself are a being that humans would consider just as, I mean, not as, you know, I guess vulnerable or deserving of vulnerability as an insect is, but still an animal that is vulnerable. And I think that is the idea around it, the idea of, doing what you need to do to survive. And at the same time, those things that you do may not necessarily line up with your moral standing in a lot of cases. But yeah, I really like it. The idea of alliteration, stabbing sky, shelter stars, as a really nice, sharpened signs of sickness. They get the S sound at the beginning. It's kind of something I would consider in a future rewrite of this piece, if I ever were to rewrite it, sort of continuing, not the S sound necessarily, but kind of looking at this agile insect darts. The A sound in this one is really interesting. Um, the sound, I guess. Agile insect darts, the sound, I don't know exactly the correct term for that, but it's kind of what I'd be looking at. But yeah, no, I mean, I still like this piece a lot. I really like the ending. I usually don't um, use titles in the endings anymore, but I feel like the title Despairing Silence is such a strong, vivid abstraction, and I wanted to have it at the end there, and I thought it was a really beautiful way to kind of depict that image of, okay, well, these armadillos are dead, but they never really got a chance to like communicate with each other, um, and that's sort of what led them to this downfall. The lack of socialization to a certain extent over some other needs like the physical needs of eating or sleeping kind of detracts from a lot of the other needs that people have in general, and not just armadillos. Obviously, representing more of a humanity than actual armadillos. But yeah, no, that's pretty much it. I don't really think there's much else to say. I think rhythmically it works pretty well. I don't think it's anything that's too aberrant, too bad. Maybe agile insect darts, but even that isn't terribly bad, and it works well with Desperate Broken Hearts really nicely. And I think this poem does things really cool with rhythm in the rhyming as well. I think a lot of it works pretty well. So the beast belittle and scoff, what restless minds stave off. It's a pretty similar sounding rhythm. I don't know the exact syllables. The beast belittle and scoff 7. What restless minds stave off 6. I mean, it works. It works. It sounds good. It's not too like dis- disparaging compared to like this one was like the only maybe awkward one. Staring at seductive darkness, but sharpens minds as signs of sickness. I think just because darkness and sickness itself isn't a great rhyme. It's okay, like it works, but it's not the best. I could definitely work on, you know, in future writing. Obviously, like that's not a rhyme that I would ever go with, but it's just kind of the way it was written originally. Yeah, that's basically the poem. Thank you again for listening and watching. And yeah, I plan on doing some more poetry. Again, weekly on Wednesdays, just grabbing some from my WordPress blog that I have sort of as an archive of my work. I'm gonna skip the next one, which is it was written in 2018. No, that's way wrong. 2015. Yeah, I'm gonna skip that one though because I don't think it's that strong. I don't think there's a lot going on. I mean, there's a lot going on. Maybe I'll write it. Maybe I'll do it another day. But I feel like it's just a bit more of a, it was more of a special post than anything else. So I will be posting on grief. It's a longer form poem next week. Yeah, thank you again for listening. And please consider subscribing if you um, have the wherewithal to do so. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.